And we actually have not only our beloved cruise manager, Maddy Caldaruse, but we also have my good friend and special accounts manager, Angie Avalos. They will both share their Romanian heritage as well as their expertise on this amazing destination. And not to mention, as you can see, they're both wearing their beautiful ias, their Romanian blouses, so really dressed up for the occasion. So thank you for that. And of course, I would like to start off by introducing to you to your very friendly and familiar host from your AmaWaterways family. Hopefully, we have become part of your weekly Wednesday routine, and we hope you enjoy spending part of your day together as much as we do. Starting with the sparkling Christine Kars, who's actually attending another panel as we speak, our co-founder and executive vice president, but she will be making an appearance toward the end, time permitting, of course. Then, of course, we have the charming Magic Murphy, Gary Murphy, our co-owner and senior vice president of sales, and yours truly, Alex Pinello, your vice president of sales. Of course, we have our amazing guest speakers, again, who are not only experts on today's topic, but they are both native from the region. So we're so excited to have them with us, starting with, again, Maddy Caldaruse, our cruise manager joining us from Romania. Hi, Maddy.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, we have Angie Avalos, our special accounts manager, joining us from Los Angeles. Hi, Angie.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and bună seara, Maddy.
Bună seara.
And thank you for joining us again and allowing us to spend part of our day with you. Great. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Angie to you today, and Angie and I go way back as well. I mean, I've known Angie for many years before I even started with AmaWaterways. And Angie was born and raised in Transylvania, Romania, and Angie dreamt of traveling and seeing the world from a very early age. And when she was studying law at the University of Brasov, she applied for a position on a European river cruise ship for a summer vacation. Little did she know where that was going to turn out. Really turned her career around. And she actually did not get a response when she applied for the position. But after 2 years, patience, Angie. So she waited 2 years and she got that phone call that again changed her life, changed her career. And again, she started, she flew to Amsterdam for the first time, again, worked for this modern European, river cruise ship at the front desk in 2002, an opportunity that truly, like I said, changed her life. She loved being a part of an enthusiastic international crew. She fell in love with, river cruising. And of course, the guests fell in love with her, I'm sure, because she's, she just has that kind of personality. Love actually brought her to the U.S. And since 2004, she has been part of the AmaWaterways family. And Angie, we are just blessed to have you being a part of our family.
Thank you so much, Alex, and I am very blessed to be here.
Gary.
So I hope I'm not having computer problems. I just got a warning. I'm going to turn off my cell service on my phone, my Wi-Fi on my phone. Either way, Maddy, thanks for joining us again today. Maddy grew up on the banks of the Danube in a little town that I remember means sailing ship, but I'll mispronounce it, Maddy. Is it Corobia?
Corabia, correct.
Corabia. And watching those river ships going by, I wondered, did you ever think that you'd actually be a cruise director on one of them? But also, looking at your background, you were a marketing specialist for Elle magazine, very well recognized and respected publication. So you come with that experience too. And thankfully, you've been with AmaWaterways from our very early days. And I can tell you, Maddy, of all the river cruises my wife and children have done, their favorite one is still cruising with you on this itinerary, the Lower Danube. The fascinating, they really enjoyed that east meets west feel of going down the Lower Danube. Of course, all the insights you provided them. But Maddy, why do you feel, coming from this area, I'm sure Angie has her thoughts too, but coming from this area, Why do you think this itinerary is so special? And I know it's still viewed as off the beaten path, but what is your view on why people should do the Lower Danube?
Thank you very much, Gary, for your presentation. Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon. There are so many reasons why the guests should come and cruise down here, very near my city. I will mention just a few. For example, the wide variety of cultures that they will see during the 2 weeks trip. And I would like to kindly ask our travel advisors to advise their guests to book the pre-extension in Vienna and the post-extension either in Transylvania or in Istanbul. This way, during the 2 weeks cruise, they go through 7 countries and different historical backgrounds with different alphabets and different religions. We have the Catholic, Orthodox, Muslim, Jewish, we have different currencies, European Union, non-European Union. So it's a lot of culture here during one trip, the Gems of Southeast Europe. Another reason is the longest distance that we cover in 1 week cruise, and that's 800 miles or 1,200 kilometers during 1 week cruise. Then, cruising on the lower Danube, we go through one of the deepest locks we have in Europe, 100 feet deep. So it is really impressive, the Iron Gates 1. Another reason is the wild nature along the banks of the lower Danube. We go through some national parks where we have unique flora and fauna, a beautiful landscape, very relaxing while cruising all these 800 miles. Then another reason is the very long history, more than 8,000 years history here, not only from Romans, but Ottomans, Byzantines, and so on, and ending with the fall of ex-Yugoslavia, fall of communism, European Union integration, and so on. Another good reason is to come and discover the legends and the myths that we keep alive, especially in Transylvania, not only the vampires and Dracula stories, but many more. And during the hour that we have together, we will give you more details about each of them. Another good reason is the slow cooked food that we have here, delicious food, and we will share some tips with you during this presentation. And as you, Gary, mentioned, the less touristy part of the world due to the very modern or the very recent history. So you are not going to see hundreds of buses or millions of people around. It is a beautiful, beautiful part and very interesting part of the world to discover, and definitely the most comfortable one to see 7 countries in 2 weeks is on a river cruise.
Great, great, and we can't wait. So Maddy and Angie, can you take us through some of the highlights of this wonderful itinerary, the Gems of Southeast Europe?
If I may start, Angie, please.
Sure.
As we mentioned, the guests can start in Vienna, in Austria, as a pre-extension, and then we take them on the ship. The embarkation is in Budapest, in Hungary, which I think is one of the most beautiful cities we have in Europe, definitely the most majestic along the river, as the river goes through the very heart of it. So on embarkation day, please recommend your guests to leave their bags with us and go and have a long walk along the banks of the river. Next morning, we cruise in the morning, and in the afternoon, we visit another Hungarian town, and this is the colorful, vibrant, and cultural city of Pécs, which due to the many museums and theaters and shows, and not only, it was named the cultural capital of Europe a few years ago. And as you see in this picture, we are gonna see and visit a mosque, or a former mosque from the Ottoman times. In the middle you see a Catholic church, and on the right side you see a Jewish synagogue. And that's a very good picture of Eastern Europe, because this is a melting pot where all these religions live peacefully for thousands of years. Next day, day 3 of the cruise, we are going to visit 2 countries in one day. Starting with Croatia, we are going to enter ex-Yugoslavia. More about it you can find in some of the books, like this one, The Balkans. It takes you maybe a few days to read it, but it's the...
Looks like some light reading, Maddy.
It is a wonderful book, and as we say, preparation is everything. It gives you and your guests a very good picture what they expect when they come in this area. It is about only the last 200 years of history in this area.
And we actually have a handout for you, so don't worry about writing down the name of the book in case you forget. We have a handout under the handout section with not only the list of her favorite books and movies, but everything that she recommends. So we make it easy for you.
You know what I also like, cruising through this regions, you got introduces some magical wines. Now I know John's in the background someplace, but Maddy, what wines would we experience coming through Croatia in this area? Do you know?
Yes, if the guests want to take one of our tours in Croatia, in Vukovar, they can drive through the countryside to see the fertile region. And then we take them to the small viticulture town of Ilok, where they're going to taste some local Croatian wine and some local cheese. If they want to hear more about the recent history in this part of the world, then we take them to the mansion or the Eltz Castle that you see in this picture, which recently was donated by the counts, the noble family of Eltz, which is actually a German family. They donated this property to the Croatian state, and it was turned into an impressive museum. And inside, the guests will see not only artifacts that belong to the noble families of Croatia 200, 300 years ago. On the upper floor, they will find a very touchy museum where the guests will learn more about the modern history. When it was the Croatian Independence War in 1991, and you will hear what happened, why the area was leveled to the ground and emptied by people. During lunchtime, we cruise, we leave Croatia behind, and we cross a border, not only between Croatia and Serbia, but between different empires. This was the division line between the Habsburg empires, Habsburg Empire and Ottoman, between nowadays Catholic world and Orthodox world, between the Latin alphabet and Cyrillic alphabet, between European Union and non-European Union, and so on. So it is an important border. In the afternoon, we enter Serbia and the colorful city of Novi Sad, which is another melting pot. 26 minorities live in this city with 6 official languages. We take you either on a walking tour or on a bike tour, or you hike in the national park Frušna Gora. And in the evening after dinner, we take you for a very special tour of the underground galleries of one of the largest fortresses we have in Europe, and that's the Petrovaradin fortress. just a short trivia, maybe you know that Mr. Tito, before he became the dictator of Yugoslavia, was held prisoner here in 1920s. And after Novi Sad, we arrive in Belgrade, that Angie loves so much.
Yes, it is one of my most loved cities in Europe, and I will tell you why, because we do have some highlights, and one of them is that we will visit the residence of the royal family. The Karađorđević family of Serbia built this palace in 1929, and about 80+% of the time, our guests can say hello to a prince. And how many times in our lifetime do we really meet a real prince? So this is one of the highlights. And we also visit Tito's memorial. So Tito is known as the nice dictator of the Eastern European countries, and he has a mausoleum. And I know some other ones, like the one Romania had, does not have such a mausoleum. So this shows that the Serbians kind of loved their dictator because he followed his own communist path without any strict rules coming from Moscow. So I also love Serbia because it has one of the most bohemian alleys, streets in Europe. And in 2021 and 2022, our operations just informed us that we will be walking through the beautiful Skadarlia street during our city tour. And what I love about it, it's actually the night atmosphere of this street. Every time I was there with my family and my friends, we listened to beautiful mandolin players, guitar players, and also we heard some wonderful men's choir that they have in Serbia. And when you are there, you can have this wonderful cevapcici dinner, which are skinless sausages, tiny as our fingers, and they are very tasty because all of them have different condiments. And together with a Serbian salad that is made with tomatoes, cucumbers, fresh dill, and feta cheese, you are really having a wonderful evening. Of course, the cuisine on our ships is fantastic and everyone raves about it. It is still nice one evening during the cruise to spend an evening in a local restaurant, and on this particular itinerary, if I would have to choose one, it will be on this particular street.
Angie, is it expensive going through this part of the world? Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, the price of goods there?
Yes, thank you. This is a very good question, Gary. I really think that Eastern Europe is very affordable. For example, Romania was rated as the least expensive five-star type of hotels in Europe. So the five-star hotels in Europe are most affordable in a city like Bucharest, for example, or other cities of Romania. So it is really affordable, and our dollar will take us a long way. Yes.
Well, Maddy, how much is the price of beer? How much is the price of beer?
Sorry, Gary, how much is the price for?
A glass of beer.
Oh, for a glass of beer is less than $1.
Yes.
Nice.
And and this beautiful picture shows the St. Sava Cathedral in Belgrade, which is the largest Orthodox cathedral in Southeast Europe. Bulgaria, Romania, and Serbia are strongly Orthodox countries, and this is one of the beautiful monuments. Living in America, what I miss a lot is the sound of the bells at lunchtime. And when you are in a city like Belgrade, you really hear them from any corner of the city. That's how loud they are and so beautiful. And the folklore of the region. So the folklore includes a lot of stories, traditions, Christmas traditions, wedding traditions, a lot of songs, and a lot of love for our national outfits, as you can see. Overall, you will see a lot of outfits from Hungary all the way to Romania. And what you will notice, they are colorful, they are happy, and our dances are very happy. You know, we are known to invite everyone in our circle dance. So this shows a lot about the happy people of Southeast Europe. After you have seen a little bit of Hungary and also Serbia, it's time to relax a little bit, and we will do this by sailing through the Iron Gates. The first stop, which will be something very unique and new in 2021 and 2022, is that we will really stop at Golubac Fortress. It is a medieval fortress in Serbia. Look, it has 10 beautiful towers. I was trying to find all of them when I looked at the picture, and I did find them. And our guests will have the opportunity to visit this fortress inside. And from here on, we will continue with the Iron Gates passage, which is the narrow gorge between the Balkans mountains on the right side with Serbia and the Carpathian mountains on the left from Romania. Then the gorge is very narrow and quite windy and extremely beautiful nature. It's not only nature, you will see this beautiful carving in the mountain that belongs to King Decebal. He was the last king of the Dacians. The Dacians were found here in 106 AD by the Romans, and they were conquered by the Romans. That's how Romania still has a Latin language. And we will also see another beautiful inscription on a rock from Roman times, Tabula Traiana. We will see another Orthodox church on the way, and we will be passing the very special and amazing engineering work of the Iron Gates 1 and Iron Gates 2, which are two hydroelectric dams, and our ships will be going through the only double lock in Europe, so through two chambers. And this is a little bit of the Iron Gates. To make it very special on this day, we will throw a wonderful Eastern European barbecue on the top deck. And on the left side, you see our mici, which are the Romanian skinless sausages, so a little different than the Serbian ones. And our executive chefs will prepare my favorite eggplant spread that is made with baked eggplants and some other delicacies of the region. So you will taste all the Eastern European cuisine during this wonderful barbecue on the sun deck. So an extremely interesting day of cruising, and from the previous cruises, our guests truly enjoy sailing through this beautiful passage of the river. And now we will go back to, we will arrive Bulgaria, Maddy.
Yes, so during that night, we arrive in the next country, in Bulgaria, in the very northwest corner of the country, and we stop for half a day in Vidin, which nowadays is a small city, a very typical communist or socialist city, which used to be a small village when the communists built a yogurt factory near this village. They had to bring the more locals to work there. So they leveled a few of the houses and they built the famous Stalinist block of flats. And this is how most of the Eastern European cities look like nowadays, with the architecture that you will see in Vidin. So here we have a few highlights for you. From Vidin, we can take you to Belogradchik Fortress, which I'd say is unique in the world. Walls that you see built there were set up for the first time by the Romans 2000 years ago, and then during the medieval times they were enlarged, and the Bulgarians had a fortress here. So the guides can take the active guests all the way up on top of the rocks. You can see a little staircase up there. And from the top, you can see the whole valley and the 30 miles long rock formations made of red limestone. I'm sure you can see the big elephant on your right-hand side and the Madonna with the child on your left-hand side. And with a lot of imagination, yes, you can follow the guide stories. They will show you all kind of rock formations. So this is really special and is a beautiful day in the countryside. Then we take you to one of the largest and the most and the best preserved fortress in Bulgaria. And this is the Baba Vida fortress, right on the banks of the Danube. And we do go inside. So another highlight of the day. You can discover Vidin on foot or on a bike. What I really like to mention, very unique, actually all over Europe, is our culinary tour that we have offered to our guests here in Vidin. We take our guests to a local family where the lady of the house is going to show the guests in the garden how she prepares typical Bulgarian breakfast. And what is that? Is banita, which is a cheese pastry served with yogurt. I mentioned before, yogurt used to be made right there in Vidin, and the guests are always amazed by this experience. So again, it's the only place in Europe where we take the guests to a local house. Next day, day 7 of the cruise, will find us in another Bulgarian town in Ruse. And from Ruse, we take you to Veliko Tarnovo. Maybe you know Bulgaria is a small country, famous for roses, for lavender, for yogurt, and for beautiful girls. And is maybe one of the oldest countries we have in Europe. It has the same name, Bulgaria, since the year 800, when Veliko Tarnovo, that you see in the picture, became the capital of it and the capital of a huge empire, maybe one of the biggest empires we have in Europe. Veliko Tarnovo is the city of Tsars, the city of the Bulgarian kings. It has majestic architecture. You will see the houses with beautiful style that you see in the picture. They are built almost one on top of the other on the slopes of the hills along the Yantra River. And in the middle of the city, like behind the gate you see in front of us, is the fortress where the Tsars used to rule half of Europe for hundreds of years during the Great Bulgarian Kingdom. Another choice will be to have a walking tour of Ruse, right from on foot from the ship, to see the highlights of the city. It's the place where many Nobel Prize winners used to live, and is the place of resistance. Lots of local heroes were born. Oh, and then we bring you to the countryside for a little hike in the hills, where you will find UNESCO protected churches, Orthodox churches carved into the mountains by Bulgarian monks, and the frescoes, the icons, are beautifully preserved after more than 1,000 years. So that's the Ivanovo rock churches. And that's our Bulgarian experience and our last stop on the river.
So after the cruise ends, we get...
There we go. Sorry. Oh, Maddy, you mentioned earlier the importance of taking advantage of a pre and post excursion. And I just want to point out the great thing is when you do a pre or post with us, you are actually traveling with the guests, right?
Yes, that's our pleasure. We welcome the guests in Vienna. We stay with them on the pre-extension. We come with them on the ship. They know us already. They trust us already. We become friends. And at the end, we take them on the post-extension. So we stay, the cruise managers stay with the guests until we wave goodbye and they go back home.
So here we have an opportunity of going on to Istanbul, where East meets West, right at the Bosphorus there, where you have Europe meeting Asia. And all the intrigue and the interest at that area and the bazaar. We're staying at the beautiful Four Seasons. So what's your input, and Angie may want to jump in here, what's your input about the pre and post?
It will be a very difficult choice on this particular itinerary because Istanbul is a fantastic, lively city, and the Transylvania side is also a very special place. And I would love to show a few of the highlights of my home country here.
So Angie, you're a little biased then. You're a little biased on your opinion because your preference for Romania over Istanbul.
Gary, I'll take you on a trip to Romania and then you make your own decision. Yes, so the first stop is really the beautiful Palace Castle. And some of you may know that the Romanian royal family came actually from Germany. It was the Hohenzollern family. Their other palace is in the Black Forest in Germany, where the Danube starts flowing. And when they saw this beautiful town of Sinaia and the wonderful mountains around it, they decided to build a German neo-Renaissance castle right in the mountains of Romania. And this castle was the first castle that had electricity in Europe in 1883, and central heating, as well as a vacuum system that was quite advanced for that time. It was built by Austrian, Germans, and Italian artists. And also inside you will see a wonderful collection of chandeliers, the Murano glass chandeliers, as well as a lot of Cordoba leather covered walls. So it's really a jewel of Transylvania. After we visit the Palace Castle, we will spend a couple of nights in Brasov. That's my hometown and the city that I love with all my heart. And this city is a city where all the pedestrian streets are coming to this beautiful center, and it's surrounded by hills and mountains. So a lot of fresh air in this city. In the background, you see the Black Church. It is the only Gothic church in Romania. And inside, it has one of the largest organs inside of a church in Southeast Europe, 4,000 pipes. So you can even enjoy a nice concert there, as well as a great collection of Anatolian Turkish carpets. Is the only collection of that kind, 119 of them, and from the 18th century. Something that I truly remember from my childhood, because I should share a little story. I was always part of a choir, one way or another. If it was the German choir or the Romanian choir in school, I always loved to sing. And when we had a festival just before Christmas, all the choirs that participated in that festival would sing along the streets of Brasov. And that was a very charming atmosphere and a great memory of my childhood. I truly enjoyed that part. And after we are in Brasov, we will go and visit the fairy tale medieval town of Sighisoara. I love this town so much. Every time I go there, I feel like a very talented painter has come and chosen a lot of pastel colors to really paint these beautiful facades. What I also love about the town, it really feels like you don't even want to sleep. It feels that you are in an old time there. And it's a very, very special atmosphere next to this clock tower. And very close to it, there is a house where Vlad the Impaler was born. So there's a little bit of legends going around Sighisoara as well. And Prince Charles of Wales loves this town. He goes there a few times a year, and he also bought some nice properties in a nearby village. So if Prince Charles says that Transylvania is the choice, Gary, I think that we have a win here. And
well,
of course, We cannot leave one of the highlights, you know, our landmark, the Bran Castle, out of this picture. We will visit this place that became very famous after the novel of Bram Stoker. And it's really amazing, especially at Halloween time. And the castle was so loved by Queen Romania. The royal family from Germany truly loved the country and the culture. And the queen loved to live in the castle. So you will see a lot of the furniture and art pieces that belong to the queen. She loved this castle so much that she wanted her heart to be put in a diamond box in the hill across from this castle, so she can still feel the energy of this place. As a little girl, I loved my weekends around this castle, and I love these villages that are so charming around it. And every time when you won't find me home, I was around this castle. And I'm telling you, there are some days when it's a little cloudy or grayish outside, and this castle has a special taste in these days. And talking about culinary traditions, on the left side we have Maddy's favorite dessert, the papanash, which are cottage cheese donuts, very nicely done. But I also cooked something I wish everyone could be here to have a piece of what my mom and I tried to make. It is our traditional walnut bread. It's usually made for Easter and also for Christmas. And it's a sweet bread. And I really hope that Gary would be in the office today.
Put it in the freezer for us.
Yes, I will. I will. Thank you. So this is what I had to share about Romania, and I have to introduce again Maddy to talk a little bit about. Actually, we are still going to Bucharest for 2 more nights. I almost forgot we are going to Bucharest. So Bucharest is the city that was known as the Paris of the East between the 2 world wars. That is based on the beautiful Belle Epoque architecture, the wonderful boulevards, and the high life spirit that was going on in the city. Then it passed these 40 years of communism, and I will show you what that brought in the next picture. The largest administrative building in the world after the Pentagon. So our dictator truly loved to make this building that can be seen from the moon. It has 1,100 rooms. It's a beautiful palace inside on 12 levels. And this gives you a little taste of Bucharest. And now we go to the fascinating Istanbul.
Wow, and absolutely. Thank you so much, Angie. Wow, that was so impressive. And Maddy, we know just how much you love Istanbul. So now it's your opportunity to share with us why our guests should add 3 nights to Istanbul to this itinerary.
Thank you very much, Angie and Alex. To be honest, I love Istanbul. I can say is one of my favorite places in Europe. And to be honest, when I've seen that AmaWaterways goes from Paris to Istanbul, that was 14 years ago, made me change my mind and choose Ama to work for. So I did Paris to Istanbul that we used to offer a few years ago for about 3 years. And yes, Istanbul is a beautiful, colorful place.
So Maddy, if we're just doing Romania, where Angie was talking about, you wouldn't have joined us. So thankfully we had Istanbul.
You know, for us, it's so hard doing this cruise to choose between one or the other. But I have a good tip for our travel advisors. They are kindly asked to advise their guests to take this cruise twice, from Vienna to Transylvania, and another one from Istanbul to Budapest, because we have choices of tours in each town, A, B, C, D. If they take different pre and post and different tours every day, then they will look like they took 2 different cruises. So yes, they can do both. Talking about Istanbul, Talking about Istanbul, we are so happy to use a wonderful hotel, a Four Seasons hotel, in the very heart of the old town, which is called Sultanahmet area. And the picture you see on the right is taken from the terrace of our hotel. And it overlooks the Hagia Sophia, which is the heart of Istanbul. And as you can see, it's like a little bit over a minute on foot from our hotel. So the reasons to come to Istanbul is maybe the guests have been already to Bucharest and Transylvania before, or maybe they want to add another country to the list of the countries they visit. Hi, Christine. We are talking about the reasons why to visit Istanbul.
Lovely.
So not only another country on their list, Istanbul has a very rich history with many magnificent and unique sites like Hagia Sophia that you see in the picture, and the Grand Bazaar and the Blue Mosque. Great opportunities for shopping and lots of pictures that the guests can take. It's a colorful city. Maybe you know, Napoleon used to say that if the whole world will be one country at one point, Istanbul should be the capital of it.
So Christine, we have a challenge. Whether people should recommend the extension of Bucharest, which Angie is saying, or the Istanbul extension, which Maddy is saying. So can you settle this for us, please?
Why don't you take both?
Yes, this is what I said.
Of course, once you're in Europe, once you have done the long flight, I love both, I have to say. Now, as many of you might know, I grew up in the former eastern part of Germany, and I went to Romania and Bulgaria starting from age 6 when I was a little child, by train actually, not even by plane. So it was a little bit harder than for us to travel. But there are so many beautiful details in both cities, and obviously Romania with the heritage, with I mean everything what happened there in the former years when the country was behind the Iron Curtain. But Istanbul being in Europe and Asia as a very, very special city, a multicultural melting pot, I can say. Amazing. Once you're on this part of the world, do both. That's my take.
Thank you, Christine. That was my idea too. The guests should do pre and post, taking both of them, and do the cruise twice in different directions.
That's a very politically correct answer because you kept Angie and Maddy happy, Christine.
I want to keep everyone happy, right? But most importantly, our guests, and this would be the best for our guests.
Yes. Yes. Whatever they will choose, they will be happy, really. So there is no correct or wrong choice here. If they choose Transylvania, they will be blown away. If they choose Istanbul, they will be happy as well. So there is no correct or wrong choice here. Whatever they choose, they will be happy.
Well, I think this is a great demonstration on the beauties of this cruise. And Christine, I touched upon earlier that Daphne and the girls, it's still their favorite river cruise doing the lower Danube.
Yeah, because it's also so much what you don't expect. I mean, you expect the upper Danube to be beautiful, meticulous, the buildings, everything, the churches, cathedrals, the vineyards. You really don't have too much expectation when it comes to the lower Danube, right? And when you go with your open mind and you see all these treasures, things that are a little bit foreign to your own culture, different, right? I mean, there is so much different religions, Orthodox, right? Villages from past medieval times where you're walking the streets, the cobblestone streets, and you feel like you're in the 12th or 11th century. that is actually what makes the travel experience so rich for all of us, and our entire tolerance level as well when it comes to encountering different cultures, different religions, and to feel very comfortable in this environment, right? The world is beautiful, and I always say we have only one life to live.
The stark contrast between the early architecture from the medieval times, or dating thousands of years back, to the real to the communist built structures, and going to the Grand Bazaar. This place is incredible. To see people walking through the bazaar with a giant piece of furniture on their back. It's wild.
This is really a unique experience to walk through 61 streets and 4,000 shops that are included in this oldest and most visited shopping mall in the world. Actually, a few years ago, it was named the #1 most visited site in Europe with 90 million people, but that was in 2014. It's really colorful. You can see here from leather products to ceramic to spices to Turkish delight to carpet. Everything is there. Yes, yes.
And Gary, just to add something. Sorry, Gary, just to add a little something. If someone asks me, what is your favorite city in the world? My answer, there are two cities that I love very much, Istanbul and thank you. Thank you everyone for your time and for your support to AmaWaterways. We can't wait to have you back on the rivers.
Oh, yes. And
well, I'm always proud that we have such a multicultural and national team. We are actually in our office, we are like a small UNESCO. I think about 35 different nationalities, and bringing them all together, in the past, now we are working all from home, but we had so many shared food options, potlucks, birthday parties we celebrate. And that is just fun to be part of really a travel family. And I know you, our valued travel advisors, you feel the same. Travel is in our DNA. It will come back. And we cannot wait to welcome you on the Lower Danube in the near future again. Thank you.
Christine, I should have gone to the office today. Angie, want to show us what you made with your mom?
Yes.
She's in the office today, Christine.
I know.
Walnut bread.
Angie's mom is such a great lady, and not just the bread, the cakes, everything she's baking, so delicious.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. We look forward to seeing you in the immediate future.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.